Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kristen Welker on a day of total whiplash in Washington and on Wall Street after President Trump's stunning backtrack announcing a 90-day reduction in tariffs for countries that are negotiating with the administration, despite just 2 days ago publicly vowing that such a pause would not happen. Stocks soared on the news with their biggest one-day rally since 2008. The Dow rose roughly 3,000 points, an 8% gain. The S&P and NASDAQ also racked up huge gains. This is a time lapse of the day. You can see the moment the president made the announcement via his Truth Social account just after 1:15 p.m. Surges, still markets are lower than they were before Trump made the tariff announcement last week, what he dubbed Liberation Day. At the same time as the president announced the rollback for many nations, he also announced a stunning 125% tariff on all Chinese imports in response to Beijing's retaliation and defiance. Shortly after announcing his rollback, President Trump acknowledged his initial announcement caused some economic anxiety.
People were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what. And keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall. These guys know that better than anybody, right? You got to go around them sometimes. You're not going to go through them. So I consider, you know, I think in financial markets, because they change. Look how much it changed today. We went from, you know, pretty moderate today, but over the last few days, it looked pretty glum, to, I guess they say it was the biggest day in financial history. That's a pretty big change. And I think the word would be flexible. You have to be flexible.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent held an impromptu press conference with reporters just moments after the president's announcement and before he spoke, looking to rebut claims that the president changed course in response to the intensifying pressure and criticism from markets, business leaders, trade partners, some advisors, and also allies.
We saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate, and you will be rewarded.
Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China.
Now, remarkably, all of this was happening as President Trump's trade representative was at a hearing on Capitol Hill defending the original tariffs and reacting in real time to the news that the president had just paused many of them.
So did you know that that this was under discussion, and why did you not include that as part of your opening remarks?
So typically what I don't do is divulge the contents of my discussions.
How long is the pause? How many days? How many weeks?
I understand it's 90 days. I haven't spoken to the president since I've been
So the
in this
trade
hearing.
representative hasn't spoken to the president of the United States about a global reordering of trade.
Yes, I have.
And
I've just
yet
been in the hearing with you, sir.
But yet he announced it on a tweet. WTF? Who's in charge?
The president of the United States is in charge.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned,
It looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you and paused the tariffs.
Now, as we noted, today's announcement comes just 1 week after the president first announced the tariffs from the White House Rose Garden on what he called Liberation Day, and after the president and his top advisors repeatedly said and signaled that pauses or exemptions were not going to happen.
Reaction to the markets today, and would you be open to a pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that.
the president has been clear, again, that he's not doing exemptions or exceptions in the near term.
I don't think the word exemption is going to be a factor. I don't think that's such a thing.
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He said he's not considering an extension or a delay. I spoke to him before this briefing. That was not his mindset. He expects that these tariffs are going to go into effect.
Joining me now is CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Steve, you were with us all of last week. Thank you for being here again this week. First, I just have to get your reaction to what we witnessed today. How big of a rebound did we see in the markets?
It's a big rebound. It's a huge sigh of relief by the markets. You can't discount that. We're not back to where we were, the losses from the Rose Garden announcement. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, whether or not this is the beginning of a rally to get back. And I think the reason, Kristen, that I'm a little bit skeptical that we go all the way back is it's well to remember the president did not remove the tariffs today. He went back to essentially 10% tariffs across the board, which are worse than was expected, a higher tariff on China. And we're told, at least our White House correspondent, Megan Cassell here at CNBC, reports the tariffs on Mexico and Canada are still there, as they are for steel and aluminum. So what's happened is we started this whole process in the United States before the second Trump administration with a 3% tariff. What happened in the Rose Garden last week was a 30% tariff. Now we're back down to what I'm hearing is an estimate of 15 to 20% tariff. You don't have to know those numbers. What you may have to know is that the bottom line is these are still seen as fairly negative for growth and fairly negative for inflation, meaning higher inflation down the road. So we'll still deal with that, and we'll still see how the market thinks about the idea, well, we're not getting hit with 30% tariffs, but maybe it's going to be 20%.
And part of what you're describing, Steve, of course, is this climate of uncertainty. Given that, what are you going to be watching for over the next 90 days while this pause, and as you point out, it's really a lowering of the rate to 10%, goes into effect?
Right. So I was thinking, Kristen, you had the wrong person on. You don't need an economics reporter. You need either a psychologist or some really good political reporters to figure out what the heck is going to happen next. I would say that you want to watch the growth, the growth numbers, watch the employment numbers, watch the inflation numbers to see how and by the way, as you point out, the uncertainty will have an effect in and of itself. Did companies hold back on investment? Did they retrench from hiring? These are some of the things you want to watch, the broader economic impact here. That's what I can do. I can if you tell me what the numbers are, economists can plug them into models. The trouble is, I'll give you an example. Earlier this week, Goldman Sachs raised their recession probability to 45%. At 1 p.m. today, they said, you know what? Given what's happening in markets, and I want to give you some color about that in a second, they said, given what's happening in markets, we're going up to 65%, which means a better than even chance. We think it's going to happen. They then dialed back down, not to where they were before, but they went back to 45%. So still a high probability of recession, just not as high as it was. And the color from the market is we woke up this morning and we started making calls to people we don't normally talk to. The people who I was calling this morning were people who oversee and think about and look at the financial plumbing of the system. And these are people that you would talk to only when things like the pandemic happen or the great financial crisis, when you get to positions where the financial system is not operating. Now, what they told me was we were not in a crisis mode. Somebody said, one person said, we're not the story now, but we're getting closer. And I think this is what President Trump saw, and the reason why I say he didn't flinch, but essentially he ducked when it came to all this. He saw this gathering concern where we could have a kind of thing where, I don't know, the Fed might have to come in. You might have some blowups of a financial institution or something like that. He saw the possibility of that, and that's the most likely reason why he drew back, not because he got 75 phone calls from leaders around the world.
Well, boy, it's incredible color and reporting. Steve, let me just go back to something you said, which is the question of whether these markets can make up what was lost. Do you think it's possible, as we've been talking about, you're dealing with people's retirement savings. You're dealing with parents' college savings for their kids, some of them wanting to take out that money now. Do you think that money can be recovered?
So that's a good question. One of the would you call it, a bit of the dark humor going around was the president lost $10 trillion in wealth to solve a $1 trillion trade deficit that wasn't a problem in and of itself. Look, there is a possibility. The American economy is very dynamic. It figures out a way to deal with things. It's very important that American businesses know what the rules of the road are. They're very capable of adapting. It could be that the economists are wrong, that they're being alarmist here about the recession possibilities. In those cases, earnings would come back. But you're sitting here at a period of time when there is an elevated recession risk. You would like to see the president dial back those tariffs across the board. You'd like to see the president adopt a more, I don't know, sensible approach to policy here that is more predictable, that would allow business to plan and adapt to what is a very trying situation. I'd like to see the market come back. I think it might take a little bit of time here.
Steve Leisman, don't go far, because we will be calling on you again as we continue to watch these dynamic moves in the market and in the economy. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. As we've been discussing, President Trump's walkback of the tariffs does not apply to China. Instead, President Trump announced he was further increasing the tariff rate on Beijing to 125%. I'm joined now by Gary Locke, who served as U.S. ambassador to China during the Obama administration. He also served as Commerce Secretary in the Obama White House. Ambassador Locke, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. Ambassador, first question, we saw this market volatility, first these really dramatic drops in the market when President Trump first announced his tariff policies, and then today that rebound when he said he was pulling back most tariffs to 10%. What is your reaction? What do you make of what we saw today?
Well, it's really good news that the president changed his mind and did not go forth with the so-called retaliatory tariffs. But as you indicated, and others have commented, the underlying 10% tariffs on all things coming from around the world stays, along with the tariffs on automobiles, steel, aluminum, and even products coming from Mexico and Canada. And of course, over 100% tariff on all goods coming from China. So much of what Americans consume every single day comes from China. And so when the Walmarts of the world, the Costco's, the Home Depots, the Best Buys, Targets have to pay twice as much for what they put on the shelves, they're going to pass that on to the consumers. And so this trade war with China can really affect both large and small businesses.
Well, and we are seeing this tit for tat with China. Do you see this as a full-scale trade war with China? And how are you anticipating Beijing will respond to this latest announcement by President Trump?
Well, Beijing and the Chinese leaders, the Communist Party, are very proud, and they don't want to be seen around the world as capitulating to the Americans. They've long viewed the Americans as trying to dominate the world and set rules for everyone else. And they, along with many of the other developing countries, bristle at that domination by the United States and some of the Western countries. So Xi Jinping is just as proud as President Trump, and I don't expect the Chinese to make the first move. Perhaps it will take a neutral intermediary, a former prime minister, to engage in some shuttle diplomacy, because this trade war with China will hurt both the consumers and workers on both sides of the Pacific.
Given what you are saying and that relationship between the United States and China, can you assess at this moment who has the upper hand in this trade war?
Well, I don't think both sides will suffer. But the reality is that so much of what Americans purchase comes from China, and there are not very many alternatives to obtaining those products. The Apple iPhones, all made in China. Some of our electronics, all made in China. It would take years for many of these American companies to switch their supply chain to other countries. You just can't build these factories overnight. At the same time, China depends on exports to the United States to make the products, which then justify the workers and keeping their workers employed. However, China does have alternatives. They do not have to buy American soybeans. They do not have to buy Boeing airplanes. They don't have to buy American GE medical equipment. They can buy German products. So in some ways, they have more choices, but still so much of their employment depends on manufacturing items that are sold to America. And when there's over 100% tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States, a lot of consumers are going to back off. They're not going to buy, and they're going to. Therefore, China will suffer as well.
I want to play you something, Ambassador Locke, that we heard from Secretary Bessent earlier today, and get your reaction on the other side.
This was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along. And that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors. And we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
What do you make of that attempt at tough talk? Could it work? How will China hear those words?
I think China is the Chinese leaders are very proud. Again, they don't want to be seen as capitulating to what they consider bullying tactics by the United States under Democratic or Republican presidents. So I think they're going to stay the course, and they have other mechanisms by which they can keep their economy going. But again, it will hurt the Chinese economy and Chinese workers and Chinese consumers, as well as American workers and consumers. Because if those products coming in from China, if a U.S. company gets parts, components for the things that they make in America, and some of those components coming from China more than double in price, they're going to have to raise the price of their products, which they try to sell in America and around the world, making their product compared to the German or the Canadian or the Mexican product less competitive.
Let me ask you, finally, Ambassador, do you think that China can use more than just tariffs to cause financial harm to the United States? And is that a concern?
Well, Americans, businesses, policy leaders, and in fact, their counterparts in many Western countries have long complained about the trade policies, the industrial policy, the financial policy of China, including lack of strong enforcement of intellectual property rights. And so President Trump, during his first term, tried to address that with tariffs. Unfortunately, it didn't really work. And it's going to be hard to see whether or not these super high tariffs on China will have any effect on the underlying issues that America and other countries have with China. But in the meantime, if this trade war continues just between China and the United States, people on both sides will suffer.
All right. Former Ambassador Gary Locke, thank you so much for joining us and bringing us your insights and expertise. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.